Today we are continuing with the remaining articles of right to freedom, which consists of Article 19, 20, 21 and 22. We already seen 19. 19 has 7 freedoms and simultaneously it has restrictions also. That is why we say what Article 19 gives through right hand, the restrictions take them through left hand. What is given through one hand is taken by the other hand. That is the criticism against Article 19. Now we will take up Article 20. Article 20 has 3 important segments. Number 1 is protection against ex post facto law. Number 2, protection against double jeopardy. Number 3, protection against self-incrimination. So these are all the 3 important ingredients of Article 20. First is protection against ex post facto law. What is ex post facto law? So if you have dealt with government service, you might have known there is ex post facto approval. That is, you incur some expenditure and the approval is given retrospectively. The same applies here also. Protection against ex post facto law. Under this, remember, no person shall be convicted of any offence except for violation of a law in force at the time of commission of the act which is charged as offence. Similarly, he shall not be subjected to a penalty greater than that which might have been inflicted under the law in force at the time of commission of the offence. Simply, a law cannot be applied retrospectively. Very simple. An act which is not an offence at the time of commission of the offence, it cannot be made an offence at a later date subsequent to the commission of the offence. Ex post facto is a law which imposes a penalty retrospectively. I will give an example, very imaginative example. It cannot happen, but just to make you understand, I give an example. You know, as of now, any pregnancy under medical termination of pregnancy law, any pregnancy within 12 weeks can be terminated on the advice of a medical board, irrespective of the status of marriage or unmarried or divorcee or estranged or whatever it is, spinster, whoever it is. Medical termination of pregnancy is allowed provided it is of 12 weeks standing on the advice of the medical board. This is allowed as of now. Let us say a girl has committed this abortion, she underwent abortion today. That is 2020 April. Now, April 2022, some other government comes in India. They are very orthodoxy. And what they do is, this offence, that is, any person who has undergone the medical termination of pregnancy will be charged and she will be prosecuted and punished with 6 months imprisonment. Remember, this law has come in 2022. Now, under the law, which was effective from 2022 April, cannot be applied to a person who underwent this operation in 2020. You cannot apply this law retrospectively. That is the nutshell. This is the meaning. You cannot apply this law retrospectively. This is number one. First point you should remember. Secondly, remember, this is applicable only for criminal law, not for civil law. In other words, a tax can be imposed retrospectively. A tax can be imposed retrospectively. You remember the Vodafone case? Honorable former President Pranab Mukherjee, when he was the finance minister, he imposed that civil liability retrospectively, and they had to pay 13,000 crores. Of course, it's a different matter. Supreme Court did not agree to that. That is a round tripping. Perhaps you remember, it's very important from the examination point of view, economic point of view. So, a civil liability can be made retrospectively. Second point you should remember. Third point is, it is a limitation on the legislature. Why? Because the legislature has powers to make law prospectively and retrospectively. A legislature can make law either retrospectively or prospectively. It has got powers. Whereas here is a limitation to make a law retrospectively. Third point you should remember. Fourth point, if it is beneficial to an accused, it can be given. What does it mean? Again, there was a case. I think there is one case of Ratan Lal. Ratan Lal versus State of Punjab, something like that. That fellow was 18 years age. He outraged the modesty of a girl of 7 years in 1957, and he was imprisoned for 6 months. Now in 1958, Probationary Offender Act came. Under the PO Act, any person who is less than 21 years, if he commits a crime, he should not be sentenced to imprisonment. Instead, he should be sent to rescue home. So, the fellow, the Ratan Lal, who committed the offence and sentenced to imprisonment of 6 months, RI, he filed a petition before the Supreme Court saying that ex post facto law should be applied to him retrospectively. And Supreme Court agreed, and his sentence was annulled. So, in other words, we are interested only in the law, the substance of the law. That is, this can be applied if it is beneficial to the person. So, 4 points you should remember under protection against ex post facto law. Now, second is protection against double jeopardy. Protection against double, kindly note down simultaneously, you take down the points. Protection against double jeopardy. What is jeopardy? Jeopardy means a danger. Jeopardized. So it is danger. So protection against double jeopardy. That is, no person shall be prosecuted and punished. Underline, no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offence more than once. Remember, the protection is given only when the same offence is prosecuted and punished more than once. The protection is given only when the accused has not only been prosecuted but also punished and convicted. That is, in other words, if a person has been prosecuted and acquitted, he can be re-prosecuted and punished. Whereas in the case of in British Constitution and American Constitution, even second prosecution is not possible. Once a person has been prosecuted and acquitted for the same offence, he cannot be re-prosecuted. Whereas in India, no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once. Perhaps some of you might have seen the popular film called Andha Kanun. In that film, I think Amitabh Bachchan, somebody was the hero. He is a political worker, very hard devotee of a political leader. And the leader is not a leader as such. He's a mischievous fellow. So when the wife of Amitabh Bachchan she's a very fascinating girl, and the fellow had an eye on her. So he intentionally sent the political worker Amitabh Bachchan to faraway place, and in his absence, he raped her, and she committed suicide. And when Amitabh Bachchan returned, he got furious. He chases the fellow and he kills him, allegedly killed him. Okay. So the case was tried and he was given an imprisonment of 15 years. Culpable homicide amounting to murder 302. He was given 15 years rigorous imprisonment. After serving the sentence, he comes back and he finds the same leader whom he has allegedly killed has become a minister, and he is giving the lecture, the bhashan in the entire area. So immediately getting furious, he chases him again, drags him to the court of law in the court premises, and kills him in the presence of lawyers and judges, and challenges the court, "You punish me now." He cannot be punished, because no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once. So he had already been punished for this offense, and he cannot be re-prosecuted and punished for this offense again. This is the nutshell. Protection against double jeopardy. Important. Then, remember, another point you should remember is that trial should be before the court of law. If the trial is in the customs authorities under Customs Act, or the departmental proceedings, or administrative proceedings, then there is no use. The protection will not be available. There was a case. One of the businessmen, a smuggler, has smuggled a certain amount of gold. The gold was seized, and the customs authorities under Customs Act confiscated 100 tolas, very valuable gold coins. It has been, those have been confiscated and kept by the customs authorities. And he was prosecuted under Kafiposa also. Then he pleaded, he had already been tried under the Customs Act and his possession was confiscated. Then why are you punishing me again? But the Supreme Court did not agree, because the proceedings under the Customs Act or administrative authorities or departmental authorities is not treated as a proceedings in the court. So it is not permissible. So these 3 points you should remember. Third is protection against self-incrimination. What does it mean? Under this provision, remember, no person accused of any offense shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. Remember, against himself. Yesterday I told you the cardinal principle of criminal law. That is, an accused is presumed to be innocent. An accused is presumed to be innocent until and unless the contrary is proved. Until and unless the contrary is proved, he is an innocent. So, based on this provision, you cannot compel a person to give a testimony against himself. That is why, if confession or admission are made, sub-magistrate warns the person, this will be used against you. The policeman, even in non-uniform, cannot be present. And the sub-magistrate who is recording the confession statement has to warn him the consequences of his confession. So, what is called brain mapping and narco-analysis, all these things are prohibited. But, however, production of specimen signature or specimen, thumb impression, etc. are allowed. So, These are all the three important factors. One is protection against ex post facto law, and another is protection against the double jeopardy and protection against self-incrimination. This is the point. Now we are coming to Article 21. Article 21 says, no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except by a procedure established by law. Remember, Article 21 is the most important article. Article 14, 19 and 21. These put together we called Trinity of fundamental rights. Like what is called Trimurti. These are all three important articles. Trinity of fundamental rights is 14, 19 and 21. And 20 and 21 cannot be suspended even during emergency. Remember. So Article 21 is very clear. No person, whether citizen or non-citizen, no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except by a procedure established by law. Remember, there should be a law, and that law should have a procedure, and that procedure should be followed before depriving a person of his life or personal liberty. Remember, the liberty is qualified by the word personal. Remember, this is important from another aspect. Now, it was a very long controversy, this article. In A.K. Gopalan versus Union of India, two cases are very important. One is A.K. Gopalan versus Union of India, and the other is Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India. These two cases are very important. In A.K. Gopalan versus Union of India, Supreme Court said, this is only very narrow liberty. In the sense, we have not used the term due process of law. The constitutional provision says that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except by a procedure established by law. That is, keeping the legislature over and above the judiciary, number one. And if the law has provided a procedure, and if that procedure is followed, that is enough. Number two. Whereas due process of law involves, when you say due process, which is available in American Constitution, due process involves issue of notice, opportunity to be heard, impartial tribunal, orderly procedure. All the four should be confirmed. All the four should be there in the procedure, and that procedure should be followed. You cannot question the wisdom of the legislature. If the legislature has provided a procedure through a law and that procedure has been followed, then that cannot be questioned. So there is a procedure, Defence of India Act. Under Defence of India Act, he has been arrested. And secondly, the liberty is not all liberty. Personal liberty is only his movement is restrained. Only his movement is curtailed. So he is imprisoned. You cannot have more than this. It is a personal liberty. Where is the liberty? Liberty has been interpreted in a narrow sense. So, Supreme Court said the personal liberty is qualified. Liberty is qualified by the word personal, adjective, and established by law. We do not have due process of law, so we cannot give that much what is called explanation and additional facilities for this. It is only established by law. We cannot interpret this to include Article 19. So, this was the decision in the A.K. Gopalan versus Union of India. Then came famous 1977 Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India. Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India. Very peculiar case. In 1977, she applied for a renewal of her passport. That is, in March she applied. And that was extended 77 March to 10 years, 87 March it was extended. It was delivered to her. In 77 June, she got a notice from the RPO, Regional Passport Officer, Delhi, saying that her passport has been impounded. See, under Passport Act, the Passport Authority has the right to impound the passport. So she filed a petition before the Supreme Court. In this case, Supreme Court interpreted Article 21 includes Article 19 also. And she has not been provided any opportunity of defense. Straight away her passport has been impounded. That is unfair. So, right to travel abroad is the fundamental right. For the first time, they said when you talk of Article 21, it automatically includes Article 19 also. So, it is in Article 20, the Article 19 is inbuilt in the Article 21. So, she has got every right to be heard, and the reason should be given why her passport has been impounded. So, the cancellation of the passport is wrong, and right to travel abroad is a fundamental right and included in Article 21. And in addition, remember, Supreme Court has liberally interpreted Article 21 and included number of rights. For example, number 1, virginity test violates Article 21. In one case, Mrs. A wanted a divorce from Mr. A on the ground of impotency of Mr. A. And Mr. A said, this is wrong. Her argument is she has not been consummated. His argument is, no, it has been done. You ask her to undergo virginity test. But the Supreme Court said, no, it cannot be done. Number 1. In Bombay Services Act, a person who is under suspension in government service should be paid a subsistence allowance only ₹1. But the Supreme Court said the easiest way to deprive a person of his life is to deny him the minimum wage. So, the entire disciplinary proceeding has been nullified. Similarly, holding a beauty contest is against Article 21. And reduction of what is known as subsistence allowance. And similarly, telephone taping. Remember, telephone taping is violation of Article 21. And similarly, what is called Section 10, for example, one more case. Under Section 10 of Indian Divorce Act, a Christian wife had to prove, in addition to adultery, cruelty and desertion for getting a divorce. Supreme Court said this is not correct. This is subhuman way. Similarly, the same Indian Divorce Act provides if a divorce has been ordered in the divisional court, then it has to be confirmed by the High Court, 3 judges bench of the High Court. That means how much time you have to wait? Minimum 1 year, 1.5 years. So this 1.5 years, she has to live with a person whom she hates. So this is subhuman. It is not possible. In another case, the air-shed workers, the minimum wage for air-shed workers, and overcrowding bus, and it is professional obligation of every doctor to provide medical assistance to a person who has been injured. Again, so many cases like this, not only one case, and younger the mother, better the child. In one case, a small child of 12 years age has become pregnant because of the some rape, and she wanted to bear the child. Her parents did not allow. She filed a petition before the Supreme Court. Right to bear the child is a fundamental right. Younger the mother, better the child. In one case, a poor person who had to pay 100 rupees as a loan he had taken, he was not able to pay, and he was arrested. He was handcuffed and taken on the road. And Supreme Court observed very seriously, I think it is V.R. Krishna here, he said, to be poor is not a sin. It is not a crime. To be poor in India is not a crime. So he admonished the police and they had to pay compensation. Similarly, compensation for the rape victims. Similarly, custodial violence. Similarly, right to livelihood, right to dignity of life, And similarly, what is solitary confinement and domiciliary visits? A person who has been released after undergoing imprisonment for robbery and dacoity, and he has to be watched by the under the police manual. The policeman should go between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock to find out whether the ex-criminal was available or not. So Supreme Court took objection to it, and Supreme Court said this is subhuman. Again, it is a domiciliary visits have been banned. So like that, and recently transgender, instead of saying male and female, you have to add one more category, that is neutral, that you have to make. And the person, wherever we say the person, Article 14 or Article 15, wherever we say person, it includes transgender also. This is also the decision of the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court has liberally interpreted almost all provisions of Article 19 has been included in Article 21. So no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except by a procedure established by law. So you should remember, Article 21 applies to the citizens and non-citizens. It is negative in character and the injunction to the state, and it is the trinity of fundamental right. 14, 19 and 21. And 21 cannot be suspended even during emergency. And the most interpreted article is 21. 21 is the most important article which has been interpreted very liberally by the Supreme Court. Then comes what is known as 21A, right to education. 86th Amendment Act 2002. Remember, 86th Amendment Act 2002 introduced three important things. Number one is 21A, which has given a right to education as a fundamental right, which has come from Unnikrishnan case, Mohini Jain case, levy of capitation fee. And when you are imposing 4.5 lakhs, in her case, in the Mohini Jain case, she had to pay 4.5 lakhs. And they say you are making the education as a commercial commodity. And Supreme Court said the right to education should be made a fundamental right. Accordingly, it is a judicial initiative which has included Article 21A. And similarly, in addition, this 86th Amendment Act 2002 added two more. One is right to education. The state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children of the age group of 6 to 14 in such manner as the state may determine. Number one. Secondly, remember, Article 44 provided earlier under Article 45, not 40, 44 is a Uniform Civil Code. 45 originally provided the compulsory free education within 15 years of the Constitution, but we are not able to achieve. So that 45, Article 45, which is a directive principle, has been amended to say the state should provide early childhood care till the age of 6 for all the children. So that is early childhood care under directive principle for all the children from 0 to 6. So 6 to 14, fundamental rights. Then Article 51A, K, that is under Article 51A, fundamental duties, Part K has been added, which has become a duty order to the parent or guardian to provide education. It's a duty of the parent or the guardian to provide education to all children from up to the age of 14. 6 to 14 years of age, the parent should ensure imparting of education to his children up till from 6 years to 14 years. So remember, I have added both. In addition to Article 21A as a fundamental right, I have added Article 45 also, and I have added Article 51A within bracket K, which is a fundamental duty. So we have seen now, remember, Article 20, 21, 21A. These three articles we have seen, and now we will see tomorrow 22, Article 22. Thank you.